Well, this afternoon, the set of four are ready to battle it out for the presidential race of the opposition National Democratic Congress. Well, four individuals, as we know now, will be in the race, racing to take the next spot of the top portfolio of the opposition party for the flag bearership race. Yesterday, of course, we had former mayor of Kumasi, Kudjo Bonsu, picking up his forms. Today, Dr. Kwabena Dufo is the latest to join that fray. He's been addressing a gathering after that exercise. Here's a wrap of the activities for this last day.
Let's make the party very attractive. How do we make it? By making sure that the grassroots are well resourced. That we make sure the grassroots become richer than they are now. And we'll do it. So that anytime we go to war, we'll win. 2024, we are going to kick the elephant into the bush. The elephant will go to the bush. Oh. Elephant, Otifi, Obeko. And we have to work very hard. You have to work hard. The grassroots, the foundation of our party, should be resourced, should be made stronger than it is now, so that they can fight the elephant to go into the bush. We will not turn this into a rally. As I mentioned, I have submitted my forms for the contest. But I'd like to appeal to you. Don't let us insult people. I don't like it. Don't you ever insult anybody because of me. I don't want that. It's only the Lord who gives power, not insults. And don't forget, that is a family, one family. And you see, we are one family, aren't we? One family. How do you insult your family member? After May 13th, we are going to come together and fight hard and drive the elephant away. So if you keep on insulting one another, coming together may be a big problem for us. So don't do that. Tell your neighbors, those who are insulting, they should stop that. What we're looking for is what? Power. And power will come when we have a united party, a not divided party. A house divided against itself cannot stand.
There's more from the Dufo campaign shortly, but now it is official that nomination process for the presidential aspirants has officially closed. Let's listen to lawyer Kakra Isama, who's the National Election Committee chairperson.
In the past 3 days, what we've been doing is receiving the filled out nomination forms of the presidential aspirants. 4 persons picked and 4 persons have returned them and paid the appropriate fee. So that matter is closed. The next step is for them to be vetted. Most probably next week, Tuesday and Wednesday, the presidential aspirants will be vetted. Those who go through, their names will be on the ballot paper for the internal primaries that will be held on 13th May 2023. Whoever wins becomes our candidate for the 2024 presidential elections.
So tell us about the parliamentary. You technically closed nominations yesterday.
Yes, we closed everything yesterday 5 p.m. So our people are doing they are processing it. After they've done the processing, we will know the numbers that filed as against those who picked and the constituencies in which they filed, and then we'll let you know.
So per the automated system, how many people picked the forms to contest in the constituencies that have not been affected by the ban?
That's about 820 persons who picked the nomination forms online. they are supposed to return them or file them physically in the constituency offices. So all that is being processed, and at the appropriate time we'll know the exact number out of that 820 who actually filed, and make that information available to the press.
What is the status of the 27 constituencies that you kept on hold?
Conversations are still ongoing at the level of the national leadership, and as soon as we get some conclusion on that conversation, directives will be issued and they will be brought back into the system to participate in the process.
So one of the reasons you actually postponed the vetting of the parliamentary aspirants had to do with the fact that you directed your sitting MPs to stay in Parliament. Yes. When exactly are you going to vet the aspirants?
The parliamentary aspirants, you mean?
Yeah.
That's next 2 weeks, first week of April. We'll vet them because Parliament will actually rise, all things being equal, on 31st March. So the first week in April, we'll vet the parliamentary aspirants.
Well, it is confirmed now. So what's next for the opposition National Democratic Congress? We'll find out shortly from the national leadership of the party. But the Do4 campaign says it is confident that they will emerge victorious and that Dr. Kwabena Duffuor will be the next leader of the opposition party. Antonio Ashinyo is the spokesperson for that campaign. He's joining us in studio. It's good to see you. A good day for you because you've succeeded in finally filing the nominations. How hard or otherwise was it raising 500,000 to get into the race?
I mean, Dr. Duffuor is very resourceful. Today was a good day, like you rightly stated. We've successfully submitted a nomination form, and the harder work begins from today.
What's next for your campaign? Now it's confirmed that we're not sure of the positioning on the ballot yet, but it's confirmed that at least you have a success rate of 50% in terms of being passed by the National Executive, because you fulfill the first part. The next part obviously will be vetting, which of course Dr. Duffuor is well known within the NDC, so we know that will not be much of a challenge. But how do you plan now to intensify your campaign?
Thank you very much. We plan to continue with the same strategy, engaging the grassroots, engaging the branches, engaging the constituencies, and selling our message of hope, empowering them for 2024 and beyond. So our message is very, very deliberate and well-crafted. The grassroots is the foundation of the party. If any government to win any political party, they win from the polling stations. So our politics or our campaign is basically emphasizing on empowering the grassroots for them to own the party, basically.
Okay. And of course, your candidate there speaking about the fact that what's growing within the party is some level of insults and barrage of attacks on his personality, which he says is not healthy for the NDC. How bad is it getting, knowing that the race is becoming a two-way affair between the John Mahama camp and the Duffuor camp? How is that translating into what he's talking about the insults?
I mean, the call of the next leader of the NDC, Dr. Kwabena Duffuor, is for us to use decent language. It's for us to respect each other, and I appreciate that this is an internal contest. So what he's calling for is respect, mutual respect for both camps, and trusting everybody to, or encouraging everybody to use very decent language. His promise is very simple, empowering the grassroots. He's lived it, his promise to do better. I mean, this morning, on your Super Morning show, you're talking about political party financing, and it's a very important conversation to have. This is a leader who's already started having it in a very sustainable way. Because if you are going to have businesses at the micro level of the party, which is the polling stations, which is the constituencies, for them to have businesses to generate money, they are going to be independent and they are going to be sustainable. If you're going to have a leader who thinks that the NDC needs to have an investment fund, I mean, in countries like Uganda, political parties invest in companies. And that's the only sustainable way for us to raise money, even in opposition, and not taking respectfully 1 CD for people who already know don't have jobs. So if you know we have an unemployment problem, where are those unemployed people going to get the money to contribute? So we need to look for sustainable ways to fund our political parties, and that is through micro businesses like Dr. Duffuor is doing through the Hunter project. And he's promised that when he comes back to power, or when he comes to power, he is going to make sure that the NDC as an entity makes very good investment in companies and in businesses for us to have very sustainable way of having money to fund our campaign as a political party. In that case, you will not have the phenomenon of godfathers or people hijacking parties, and that's going to limit corruption in a very sustainable way, in my view.
Okay, but for now, the next phase of the campaign, where we've seen Dr. Duffuor go to some regions. I'm not sure if he's been to the Volta region already, has he?
Volta regions are next.
Oh, okay, so that's where you're going next.
Yes.
Are you confident that you'd be able to win the hearts of
I am confident that we are going to win this election May 2013. I mean, we are the only campaign or only candidate that is speaking about the party.
Why do you say so?
I mean, you listen to the campaign. Yeah. Sustaining the party is it goes beyond providing T-shirts and vehicles. It's about empowering the individuals for them to be able to mobilize and have the authority to command their various units. So if you have a leader who says that I'm bringing you a Hunter project, in some constituencies that a Hunter project have been given, a Hunter project is basically providing them 4 canopies, 100 chairs, and a sound system. These are equipment that you can rent. They are getting about 6,000 a month, sometimes even 4,000 a week. If parties are able to get these done at the various level, you can imagine the impact that it will make for the party. Again, Dr. Duffuor has promised to create an insurance policy for our cadres or aged people. As we go around, we interact with the old people. Some of them really do feel neglected. What does the party do? We need to look at ways or policies to make their lives better. And when these people's lives are better, their grandchildren and children will be attracted to the party. And he's promised to create a pension scheme for these people. So this is somebody who really knows what he's about. He's done it before. He created his first insurance company in 1983, Star Assurance. And that company is still in existence, providing needed insurance for corporate Ghana and individuals. Again, we are the only party that's talking about reviving the Heroes Fund. In 2011, when Professor Mills was alive, he created the Heroes Fund to support people that, get hurt during elections or what have you. As we speak, that Heroes Fund is dead. As Dr. Duffuor is saying, when he comes back, he's going to make sure that Heroes Fund comes back to life. Why do we need that Heroes Fund? Because political party activity is risk. 2020 election, we have people losing lives in Techiman. What have we done for these families? As a political party, we really need to take the party serious. And we are the only people giving this message.
Is this something we haven't seen before in the NDC? I was speaking days ago to Ernest Kobia. Of course, he came as well after filing his nominations. He says, well, I'm supporting the NDC with money, whether or not I emerge victorious. Will Dr. Kwabena Duffuor maintain that same posture, even if he doesn't get the nod?
I mean, as we speak, Dr. Duffuor is an ordinary citizen. He's not the leader of the party, but he's already investing about 10 million Ghana cedis in an auto project for the party. Dr. Duffuor's record, today you heard him, his contribution to getting us at the national office as finance minister, the national headquarters that we have now, he told us that he contributed to it as a finance minister, putting people together to bring up the money to build it. He's promised that he's going to make sure that each region in this country does have a befitting regional office. He's going to go further to get each constituency a befitting constituency office. This is a leader that's really looking at a very sustainable way of making the party attractive. The current campaign coordinator of a particular candidate who contested a candidate said in 2019 that the NDC lost in 69 universities. We need a middle class. We need to be able to appeal to them. So NDC's base vote is 40%. How do we get the middle class to be able to win power? We need to be able to get that leader that can be trusted. And the only leader, in my view, in this contest that can be trusted is Dr. Duffuor. We need the middle class, and Dr. Duffuor brings them on board. So if the grassroots is listening to me, this election should be about winning power in 2024. So we need to make sure that we assess the candidate holistically. Beyond that, NDC, we need 4 years. The former president indeed said in the past that 4 years is not enough to make any real change. His aide, Joyce, also said that 4 years is not enough. So the question is, what do you need 4 years to do? Dr. Duffuor is assuring the NDC grassroots that he's going to guarantee them 8 years, where we are going to have sustainable development as a party, and the nation benefits in the general. When he's done, because if you're going to race with 4 years, what you're going to have is that after 2 years, the NDC will have to go for
but the NDC is not prevented from contesting the election afterwards, after 4 years.
No, obviously.
No one is stopping the NDC after 4 years.
I'm talking about a candidate. We are talking. This is a presidential election.
You were just telling me that you're interested in building the party. After John Mahama, even if it says 4 years, The NDC will not be outlawed from
I
running.
am not speaking. I'm not speaking for John Mahama. What I'm saying is that the NDC needs to look for a candidate that can assure them of 8 years. My reference to John Mahama was his own statement years ago that said 4 years is not enough to.
Yes, but my point is, giving that without assuming that John Mahama will be the next leader of the party, even if he wins, runs for 4 years, the NDC will not be outlawed from running the.
But you know, we will be in a challenge because we'll not have to bring the new leader who will then face the MPP, and we'll really have a difficult challenge because, as you know, every election, the second term of the leader, the vote depreciates. So the NDC is certainly going to look at that political calculation to make its decision. So this is the time to have a new leader who is already known, who has a track record. I mean, Dr. Dufour's track record is known. If the NDC, in its own wisdom, have changed the leadership in Parliament to bring in people who have economic background, if the NDC, in its own wisdom, is having a general secretary who was deputy finance minister to Dr. Dufour to be able to debate and argue economy. And I did listen to Fifi when he came on this set about talking about the real state of the economy. You could see he understood exactly what he's saying. So this is the time for also us to have somebody who understands the issues, who's done it before, and who has a track record and can be trusted to deliver. And Dr. Dufour has assured us that in 2 years, he's going to change this economy around and create the needed fiscal space for development. Truth is that if there's no water in the pool, you can't swim. Ghana does not have money, and we have a leader who knows how to pull the resources together and get us the money to build the development we need.
Okay, then now the challenge is being thrown to Dr. Dufour about the state of the party in the Ashanti region. We've heard the OT regional chairperson of the NDC, John Japo Kujo, he's made some statements. Of course, he made the statements when John Mahama was launching his campaign in the Volta region. He says, well, the contribution of all these individuals, including John Mahama himself, he's been a member of parliament, he's brought some votes to the table. But that cannot be said of Dr. Dufour, who's never been a member of parliament. He comes from a region that the NDC is in dire need for numbers from. Why is Dr. Dufour not turning his attention to the Ashanti region?
Thank you very much. I think the gentleman's statement is it's an ignorant one, and I'll tell you why. Dr. Dufour's vote is in Setre Afan Plains. NDC has only 4 seats in the Ashanti region. Setre Afan Plains is one of them. The current MP is Dr. Dufour's junior brother, same father, same mother. As we speak, Dr. Dufour's financial contribution and logistical contribution to the Ashanti region, indeed the NDC as a whole, is not in question. As we speak, Dr. Dufour has given the NDC, is investing over 10 million Ghana cedis in our top project in each constituency in this country. That's a lot of money. As we speak, Dr. Dufour, yes, is not a member of parliament, but let's look at the NDC's own history. The founder of the party was a military man. He never went to parliament. The next leader of the NDC, the late Professor Mills, never went to parliament. The only person that went to parliament is the former president, John Dramani Mahama. So that statement that if you are not a member of parliament, you cannot be president in the NDC is factually inaccurate. So everything that the chairman said, and we can forgive his political speeches, there was a lot of exuberance, and I mean, you can allow it. But the record is that the NDC have had 3 leaders. 2 of them never went to parliament. The one who went to parliament led us into our most embarrassing defeat in 2016, which is the truth. Again, the one who was in parliament under his leadership on 2 occasions, 2016 and 2020, we were unable to collate results. This speaks to the health of the party at the grassroots level and the leadership that was provided. Again, yesterday, the day they picked up the form, you had the campaign manager talk about redeclaring results 12 midnight. It means that collation of results is now an issue for the NDC, when we really should be talking about the economy and how to build the party financially. So what we need to do is look out for a leader who has a track record. He's done it in private. I mean, we've never had a leader who has been a businessman, created jobs, and also has excelled in public service. Dr. Dufour is the only one in this country that managed the central bank excellently and managed the finance ministry as well. Yeah, these are the 2 units
under the NDC administration,
of course,
which had John Mahama as the vice president.
What are you going to talk about economic management team?
Well,
let me tell you.
That was during. I'm just stating the facts, isn't it?
It's not. Fact,
it's not. It's not the fact. It's not the fact that John Mahama was the vice president.
Here's the fact. That's the fact.
So,
but he was
John
not.
Mahama,
Hold on. That's not true.
Regime.
That's not true. There was no, and I read my lips. There was no economic management.
But there was a clear direction of where the party wanted to go.
No, what there was
on the ticket of John Evans Tamils and John Dramani Mahama.
No,
you can't take that away.
I'm coming. What you need to do is, what is the contribution of the person to the said record? Indeed, as an NDC member, I can tell you that was our best record. So John Mahama can't take credit.
Right.
But I'm telling you, and I'm setting the record straight, that under President Mills, there was no economic management team. The vice president never chaired any economic management team.
My point
what
is,
there was,
the political direction at the time was being steered by two individuals.
I'm talking
John Evans Tamils.
I mean, you've read the Constitution.
Precisely.
The powers of the president is stated, the powers of the vice president is stated. The vice president, respectfully, only acts when the president is not. The vice president, respectfully, is only assigned roles by the president. So he's a supporting hand. The president takes the responsibility, but it's a team, I get it. But I'm telling you that as a minister of finance, Dr. Duffuor Ofifi-Kwete worked with the Economic Advisory Council, which was chaired by Dr. Yamson. They never reported...
Dr. Duffuor was working under the instructions of the president, correct?
Dr. Duffuor worked under the instructions of the president, advised by the council.
So at any time, any point in time, the president is not around in the jurisdiction or whatever it is, automatically he'll be taking direction from John Dramani Mahama.
I'm coming.
Yeah.
Let's get a record straight. I'm not actually taking anybody's position. All I'm telling you is that the finance minister, Dr. Duffuor Ofifi-Kwete, and the ministry worked in a very unique way with an advisory council headed by Dr. Yamson. I am not going to accept that statement that there was I mean, I've had a former deputy minister talk about economic management team, and you're a journalist, I've challenged you. Research and find out if Professor Mills had any economic management team headed by any vice president.
What difference does it make anyway?
It makes a lot of difference. Why? Because in the wisdom of the president, which is Atta Mills, he decided that he would rather have an advisory council advise the finance minister. That should even, I mean, you should ask questions about that. Why was that?
Probably the finance minister was not competent enough.
Oh, that's a laughable claim. Why was the finance minister not competent enough?
Yeah, an advisory council would definitely advise the one who's been
advice are not directors.
Yeah, but he still needs guidance.
What we saw is the results. I mean, if you want us to...
So the credit then should go to the advisory council, isn't it?
Listen, my brother, I'm telling you and
I'm just drawing the possibilities because you're claiming credit for it. I'm saying...
I'm telling you what fact there is.
Right.
I'm not... For credit, you can give it. What I'm telling you is stating the facts and correcting the inaccurate claim that there was an economic management team.
Yeah.
I'm telling you there wasn't.
Okay. If there wasn't, there was an advisory council. That's what you're telling us.
I mean, you had Dr. Duffuor today.
Yes, but if there was an advisory council,
you allow me to
then probably it's because the individual in the office at the time was not competent enough to handle the matters.
That would be an interesting claim.
Yeah, it's fair to infer that, isn't it?
Hold on. Even the wisest person takes advice.
Right.
But hold on. You heard Dr. Duffuor today praise the General Secretary, the former Finance Minister Ofifi-Kwete, for his role, working with him healthy. I mean, Dr. Duffuor is not somebody that takes credit as an individual. And even in his campaign tour, he talks about we. He never talks about I. What I am seeking to correct, which you need to allow, is because people are listening, is the fact that for magical reason, every president has an economic management team that is headed by a certain vice president. I mean, how can you head an economic advisory team when you know nothing about economy?
But my point is that why are you not stating the facts as to why there was an advisory council?
That's you asking me to think for the late president.
No, but
that would not be fair.
You told me you were stating the facts. The fact is that he had an advisory council. He did not have the vice president chairing.
Do you contest?
So why states the facts now? Why did we have an advisory council? Because anyone could infer.
My name is Antonio Edemasi.
But the point is,
I speak for Dr. Duffuor.
I get that point clearly. You told me, and you are the one
saying.
Yeah, but you told me about the advisory council, isn't it?
But you're a journalist, my
What
brother.
was the advisory council doing to Dr.
For us to solve this,
yes.
You're a journalist.
Yes.
Are you aware there was an economic advisory?
Yes, but my point is, granted, what was the role of that advisory council?
It's to advise the finance minister.
Precisely. So I'm saying that anyone at all could draw an inference from what's happening. The fact that, well, the man at the top, they're handling our matters at the finance ministry, may not have been as competent as he was.
This, when you come in, it means that the person was working in an advisory committee, advisory council to bring in. Right from the start of the administration, there was economic advisory council. That was the leadership style, or in the wisdom of the president then, that's how he wanted to govern.
Yeah, but I'm just raising the point because you want us to probe as to why the vice president wasn't chair.
No, I'm not interested. No.
Yeah,
I think you're getting the premise wrong.
Right.
I am not interested in the vice president chairing. No, I'm not.
Right.
All I'm telling you is that on this very set, the former deputy minister did claim that there was an economic development team chaired by the vice president. And I'm telling you on authority, and on that set, I even challenged you to research and tell us the truth, because people are watching and listening to us. What existed under Professor Mills, in his own wisdom, was to have an economic advisory council chaired by Dr. Yamson to advise the finance minister.
Right.
That was a model the president adopted. And I'm telling you, looking at the Fourth Republic, our economic record, that regime have the best record. Indeed, that's the pride of the NDC, that we were able to have under Professor Mills' leadership style.
With John Mahama supporting him as the vice president.
That's fine, you can do John Mahama's
No, I'm just stating, we're stating facts.
But I'm telling you.
You're stating the facts, I'm also bringing the facts to you.
Just chill, let me come. What I can tell you is that under Professor Mills as president, John Mahama as vice president, and the finance minister, we were able to achieve single digits.
That sounds better, isn't it? That was a collective. That there was a collective achievement, and not because there's a magical one that that Dr. Dufo was using at the time.
Hold on, President John Mahama respectfully was the president. He became the president. Right. He had his finance ministry. We saw the results we had. It was not, compared to President Mills, there is a huge difference, but it is way better than what this government is giving us. But the NDC have a choice of having the one that engineered the best record. Right. And I've indeed told you, Dr. Dufo is the only person that has headed the central bank and headed the finance ministry. And these are the two most important institutions when it comes to our finances. Right. And he's indeed promised that in 2 years after being voted president, he's going to turn the economy around and create the needed jobs that the youth need.
Okay, Antonio, just hold on for me, because there's a need for us to explore what's happening next to the party after this. I'll be interested in that economic conversation. Elikim Kotoko is a Deputy National Organizer for the NDC. Elikim, thank you for your time. So what's next after now? Yes, and kindly unmute for us so we can hear the point you're making. Well, what will be happening next, and what will your party be doing after, now that we know that everyone has filed, especially for the presidential candidates?
Thank you so much. Good afternoon to you, your viewers, and to my brother at the studio. Just a quick one before I respond to that. As a national officer, on the basis of the fact that we have what we call the party ideology, we are left of center. It is entirely wrong for my brother seated at your studio to say that it will not be in the interest of the party to go to the person out there on the street who is poor to take 1 cedi from them. Then he does not appreciate the party he belongs to and the ideology on which we stand, because we are left of center, which means we are for the masses. And to build a nation, we would rely on the masses to build and own what actually you do.
Yeah, but I guess so his point is, he's just trying to establish the fact that Dr. Dufo has indeed contributed his due to the party. That you cannot take away from him.
I'm just correcting it because so that the person listening or viewing also doesn't say, oh, so the party would at a point in time come and not take dues from us. People would have to also be responsible and full ownership of the party. And like always said, that you teach me how to fish and not always feed me with the fish. Then also, as party, I am unaware yet if the 10 million per constituency or so, or what has been invested, has gone to all the constituencies, 275 constituencies in Ghana. So I cannot verify for that.
Okay, so the party is not taking delivery of the 10 million? Is that what you're telling us?
That I am not aware of and cannot authenticate, and that is why.
Okay, Antonio will check that out for us.
Yes.
Okay, yes.
Yes. So a quick one. Yes. What is next is that once we have the various candidates have filed their nominations or filed their document, the process now is to make sure that vetting is done for them as well, and vetting will be done somewhere next week for the first week of April for the parliamentary candidates, and then for the presidential as well. So what will be done now will be to go through the documents that have been presented and a few things that ought to be done. You in the press will be alerted on every single process, and the public as well will be notified.
I'm interested in, for instance, the process of vetting. Would that apply to the presidential candidates as well, or given the fact given the fact that there are just 4, you would pass all of them because the numbers are not that huge? You agree?
Oh yeah, I agree with you. I cannot tell if all will be passed. I mean, that would be the sole prerogative of the committee that will be vetting them. And so if only you are qualified by all standards, no errors, no everything is okay, why not? You should be. And we are an equal opportunity providing party. And so we believe that you don't need to have a certain name, belong to a certain tribe, be coming from a certain, no. Once you are qualified, and you have seen it's been demonstrated, I'm sure that it is known that
Elikem, it appears we've lost Elikem there, but he was just making this point about the 10. Is it the 10 million? Yeah, not necessarily a response, but you'd want to state the fact that you have. Yes,
I agree with Elikem, and I mean, good afternoon to him. The NDC is a social democratic party for everybody. My commentary, and I made reference specifically to the discussion on the Super Morning Show today by the civil society organizations, and I'm telling you that there is a sustainable way for the political parties, irrespective of where you are, because whether you are left or right, you need money for your activities. We need, as a political party, to look for sustainable ways to fund our activities, which was the discussion today on the Super Morning Show. And I stated that my candidate, Dr. Dufour, has already started a micro business at the constituency level, which is the unit. The 10 million mentioned is the total cost of the Ahunto project. And Elikem cannot claim not to know about it.
I'm coming. To say that, are you sure that money has gone to all the branches of the party?
And that's where the problem is. Clearly, I did state the items. Dr. Dufour is not giving money. He's giving items, 4 big canopies, 100 chairs in the sound system. So each, I think 30,000 Ghana cedis each. The total sums to that. So Dr. Dufour is not giving 10 million to the party. So that was not accurate.
Okay, but so, everything has gone to, you know.
I mean, you are in this country. When Dr. Dufour started, there were some people who were a bit uneasy with it. As we speak, there are over 70 constituencies that have received it, and we continue to distribute. But the principle is, if we, as a political party, adopt this model, we are able to generate money to fund activities. And the question was, how does an unemployed person contribute to a political activity? So it does not really set up whether you're left or center. My concern was on the principle and the discussion today on Super Morning Show about funding political parties. Because if you succeed at it, it's going to affect, reduce corruption drastically, which, is a good conversation to have. So the parties need to look. Again, I did mention investing. Investing in companies. The NDC as an entity can invest in companies, and that's the most sustainable way of generating money for the party's activities. So it's not an ideological debate at all. It's my contribution to the discussion today on the Super Morning Show.
Okay, then. We need to wrap up, but what message would you like to send across to the grassroots of the party, those who are going to be the ones who would make the choice, the decision, when they're given the opportunity to decide?
Thank you very much. We've heard from the party leadership and all of us know that 2024 is going to be about the economy. It's going to be about creation of jobs. If that is what it is, we need to have a hand that understands what it is. He's done it before, and it will be able to create the needed fiscal space to get us the money we need and the development we need. And like I stated, if there is no water in the pool, you can't swim. So whoever wins, if there's no money, you can't do anything. And this is somebody that is confident. He's giving you a timeline that within 2 years, if voted as leader of the NDC and president eventually, he is going to create the needed fiscal space for us to create the jobs that we need. Again, he's somebody that the people can trust. I mean, in his public and private life, you've never really heard about any corruption. He's such a leader we can trust. Lastly, the NDC needs to go into 2024 election having in mind the floating voter, the middle class. Our base we can energize, but somebody that can attract the floating voters for us to cross the 50+1 in order to get to the Flagstaff House to deliver the needed development that we need. And the only person that can do that is Dr. Kwabena Duffuor. He's the only leader that understands what the economy is, and he's the one that has been able to create jobs, thousands of jobs in this economy. So he knows how to create jobs. Let's give it to the leader who knows how to show work, because he's shown the work and he's willing to do it again.
Okay, and we'll see how that will pan out. But I'm grateful that you've been able to join us, Adam, as you're speaking for the Duffuor campaign. Let's bring in Elikem Kozoko. Sorry, we lost you there on that point.
Yeah, my sincere apologies. I wish to also stress on what Adam said, that Dr. Duffuor in his submission did say that we should avoid the name calling and all of that. I agree 100% with that. I hope my brother understands that my only position was that clarity ought to be given to our submissions. So, for instance, as he said in your studio himself, that he should have clarified well that we have done this to 70 constituencies with 205 more left. Then it gives clarity so that somebody in a different constituency doesn't come thinking that something like this is going on when it hasn't reached them. So I wish them well as they do so, and I pray that they all continue. And I want to also state that these elections or the primaries they are going, the campaigns they are doing, should not be on trying to pitch one against the other. We are looking for a candidate, and the NDC is what the people are going to vote for. The NDC is not going to eventually vote for candidate, where you will say that because someone said is going to serve a 4-year term and continuity and all that. Those are their own campaign messages anyways. But where it seems it will bruise the NDC a bit, we would have to correct that to make sure because it doesn't create any...
Yeah, so that brings me to the question as to what you're doing now to ensure that even after this highly competitive process, you would ensure that the NDC remains united, because that will be the job that will come to your boss and your doorsteps as well. What measures are you taking to consolidate that?
Yeah, I think you would agree with me that with the NDC, when it comes to matters of this internal contest, right after the contest, there's always relative peace, that everybody understands the common goal for which we all were pursuing whatever we started from some time back. And so I believe strongly that when even the campaign is on competence, when the campaign is on what the individuals believe they bring on board without mudslinging the others, then obviously it would be a good grounds for us to step up when these primaries, the preliminaries, I call it, are over.
Elikem, how do you respond to the criticism that the reason for which you're not seeing a lot more participation, a lot more people stepping up to say they want to be the presidential candidate for the NDC is because of the amount involved this time round? At least in the last exercise, we had more than 4 names come up. But now it's just 4. And some say, well, it's because you're charging too much.
I don't think so. If you look at the figures and percentage-wise, it's not been any substantial increase from what we charged the last time. It is rather because the NDC believes that even though there are a plethora of people, 4 or 5 is okay. After all, it's only one person who is going to be chosen anyway. So why have 20, 30 and have so many problems eventually? And nobody has actually prevented or is preventing anyone. It's still the same democracy the NDC is known for, and therefore people are very free to come up. I think you interviewed one gentleman also who is a presidential candidate. Is doing the same. You interviewed lawyer Kakrai Saman, and he told you 820 people have picked, and we have only 275 constituencies. It tells you on average how many people are contesting in each constituency. So I do not think there's any limitation at all. You would agree with me also that there are people with the gravitas, and this amount being talked about is just chicken change to them.
So 500,000, that's for the presidential level, and still you may disqualify some of them.
If you don't meet the criteria, if you don't meet the standards, I do not think that the money is the basis for which we want to elect a flag bearer. Because you would agree with me that financing even a political party nationwide is not an easy task. And even if we had 50 people contesting, that filing amount will just be a drop in the ocean, considering the task that you would have to do with the polling agents, getting them there, getting a van, getting PA systems, campaigning with posters, media engagements, and all of that. So it's still just a drop in the ocean. And therefore, money is never in any way any of the factors to be considered when we have to pass or disqualify somebody. We all wish that at all times everybody is allowed to sail through. Then eventually, or in the end, they detect or they find for themselves their strength by the ballot through the people.
The parliamentary level, it's also another area that we need to pay attention to. I'm sure that process is also winding up at the parliamentary level, but what you also have is a bit of a challenge for the incumbent MPs. You've asked them to suspend their campaigning activities, and yet the processes are still going on. Are you being fair to these people?
Oh, they all know we are very fair to them. They have been very beautifully laced plans outlined for them so that they are not disenfranchised. And as we speak, there's no canvassing ongoing in those constituencies where we have.
Yeah, but you're still allowing them to file. That's the challenge.
Yeah, we are allowing them to file. They are giving special times to even file in order to make sure that they don't get their eyes off the ball, to always keep an eye on the legislature, where we believe that there's a need for us to save our democracy, where a regime has decided to visit very untoward hardships onto us and yet also perpetuate what I call evil on the innocent Ghanaian.
So even as we speak, you mean that directive has not been waived? And that
it's not been waived. It's not been waived. It's up to the 31st until Parliament goes on recess, because we know the very sinister motives of this regime. And as we always say, in security, you will need 24 hours to actually be very alert, because the enemy takes just a second of a loophole, and then that becomes your Waterloo. So they need to be very vigilant, and they have all concurred to that. And I must also commend all our parliamentarians for their vigilance and steadfast so far. It indeed shows their commitment to the party and to seeing Ghana get better compared to where we find it today, where even the referee in our next elections is already compromised before blowing the whistle.
And are you not policing these MPs too much? A couple of hours ago, our parliamentary correspondent dropping images of Johnson Asiedu Nketia, your party chairperson, in Parliament, as the consideration is underway for even the nominees for ministerial positions. You're taking this too far, right? It's like you don't trust your MPs. You're keeping the cane on them all the time.
No, we cannot be policing them at all, and we do not intend to do so. There's rather a very cordial relationship between them and the party leadership, and which is the reason why you see most of us out there with them, and they come here often as well too. So
it's as though you don't trust them at all. Like you can't trust them.
No, it has nothing to do with trust at all. We trust them 100%, and which is why none of them has flouted the directive that was given by the party signed by the General Secretary.
Okay, so fine, yeah. So why not sit in your offices as the national executives of the NDC instead of moving all out, going to Parliament? Even as we speak, I'm sure that the chairperson is there. The General Secretary, if I'm not wrong, will also be joining. I'm sure that you would also be passing by in a few minutes from now, just to be sure that you can locate all your MPs. Why are you doing that?
This way I'm speaking to you from my office. And
but it's just a matter of movement. I'm sure once we're done with the interview, you'll be in Parliament.
So you just have a few of our officers also just in Parliament. They also want to watch proceedings.
What are they doing? What are they doing there? That's not their office. you're...
No, there's nothing wrong. They just feel the need to also be there. And honestly, our parliamentarians themselves also feel more inspired when they see national officers also around them. It shows the commitment. It shows the comradeship and the bond that they all have. Like we always say, when you have your head around you, you feel so happy that, the General Secretary is very concerned about our interest in fighting for the democracy of this country. And he has also moved from his office to come and be part of us and watch us, not to police us, but to rather inspire us and encourage us to continue doing the good things we are doing.
Okay, amazing. Your message to the grassroots of the party.
I want to just advise them all to do clean politics, politics that should be minus insults and attacks on personalities. Because in the end, we shall all go to the poll to make sure we go against a regime that has become very sinister and evil, not only to the NDC, but to Ghanaians at large, considering the things that are going on, the quagmire we find ourselves in. And even if you, Bless, you are not NDC, you need to also keep your eyes watching closely, because the ramifications of what they are doing has serious implications on you and I as Ghanaians.
Well, my duty is to watch all of you, NDC, NPP alike, and for those of you in Parliament as well. Thank you, Elikem. We'll see you again.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for joining us. And we'll be right back. We'll take you to Parliament, of course. The consideration is underway for new nominees, ministerial nominees, and it's getting heated in the House. We'll get you the latest. Please stay. And you're welcome back to the Pulse. We're keeping our eyes still on the NDC just before we cross you over to Parliament because the internal race at the parliamentary level is also heating up. Spokesperson for the John Mahama campaign, Felix Ofosu-Kwakye, has also picked up his nomination forms and filed subsequently in the Asebu Komankesi constituency. He's been speaking about that. There's more here.
NDC rules and regulations governing this primaries contest requires us to, first of all, pick nomination forms, have them filled, and then submit them for scrutiny by appropriate officials. So I'm here in fulfillment of that particular requirement. And it was a brief encounter. My engagement with the elections officials here indicate that my documents are satisfactory and that in due course I will hear from them on the next steps forward. Well, this is a purely voluntary crowd. Truthfully, I had wanted to come here quietly or Nicodemously, as it is said in biblical terms, to file my nomination forms quietly and then go on to do the rest of the activities I had planned for the day. But my supporters got wind of it and vowed that they were not going to allow me to come here quietly and leave, and that they were going to make a firm statement about their readiness to support me and work hard for me to win this primaries. So I am deeply, deeply encouraged and very grateful to them for the spirit of volunteerism and their ability to mobilize, even in my absence, to support this cause. I'm most grateful to them, and I'm humbled by their contributions to my campaign. Well, I made the first attempt, and I came quite close. I lost by a measly 176 votes, which is mighty close. So if a candidate comes that close in an election, it only makes sense that you repeat that candidate.
And we all know the Assin Central area to be an area dominated by the New Patriotic Party's Kennedy Ejapon. But there's one man on the NDC's ticket, Nurin Shaibu, who's seeking to turn the narrative and to, of course, challenge that long-held position by the NPP. Nurin, it's a good time to be speaking to you. Welcome to the Pulse.
Thank you very much.
You know that the contest in which you're going for, right? You're seeking to become the MP or the parliamentary candidates for the Assin Central constituency. That will be a tough one for you, you agree?
Well, I don't think that's a tough one. Before I commence, I would say I'm greeting the whole entire Assin Central constituency.
Right.
My party constituency chairman, Baba Garba, the regional chairman, Professor Siedu, the national chairman, and then all the entire NDC in Assin Central. I think me contesting for the Assin Central seat, it shouldn't be a tough one because that seat was, before it was the NDC seat.
Oh, it used to be an NDC area, and then, of course,
so the
NPP came through, and for a long time now they've been running.
Like, yeah, for the past 24 years,
Yes.
we lost that one
Yes.
way back in 2020.
Yes.
I'm sorry, 2000. And then now we're trying to recapture our seat.
Okay. What's your plan for the area? At least you've not gone past the voting stage where the delegates have endorsed you. But why do you feel you'd be that best bet for the NDC in the Assin Central area?
Well, we all know Asin Central is a constituency where like the youth are vying out to work hard, and then they're trying to get employment and stuff like that. Due to that, even though I'm not I'm not in parliament yet, I've not occupied any government position. But even with that, I've been able to, assist the youth in creating.
Oh, you've been helping them.
Yeah, we've been creating employment. As we speak now, I've built a multi-million company in the constituency, which is providing employment for the youth.
What do you do there in that company that you're talking about?
Basically, we do water, and both bottled water and sachet water. But now we start with the sachet, and then we'll be doing like fruit juice and stuff like that. So it's a phase. So we are in the first phase of our campaign.
And you've been doing this for how long?
Well, at the constituency, I think we started operating like close to a year now.
A year now. What would you say to someone who says, well, Nurin Shaibu is simply doing this because of the votes? Well, he's got some money somewhere. He's come to set up a company just to try and deceive just quote and unquote, to use that word, if you allow me, the youth, and to try and get more votes. Some say that's all you're doing.
No, well, I understand, this is politics, and then everybody has his view, and I respect each and everybody's view, But what I would say is like, I'm with my people, and they know exactly what I can do. My track record shows everything. This is not the first time we try to help our people. Even though we are not in parliament, we've never gone to parliament, we've never held any government position, as I said. But if you go to the constituency, in every community, I have a signature written there. As we speak now, we've been able to, build a police station for the people of Assin Kropong.
You did that?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, like there's a whole police station which is there. And then the community, they started doing it, and then they came to tell me like, hey, this is what they're doing, then they need support. I'm like, you know what, since you guys have this initiative and these youth people have this initiative, I was so proud of the youth because that's all what we are trying to, do. So when I saw that, I was like, well, you guys, hold on. So I embarked on that, and then I constructed the police station.
For how long have you been with this party, and are you really known within the Assin Central area?
Well, way back on campus at Cape Coast.
Okay, so you've been to UCC?
No, Cape Coast Polytechnic.
Polytechnic,
yes, so before I traveled and left the country, so I was a 10 organizer on campus. So during that time, we served the party. I've also been a polling agent in the 2008 election before I left the country. So we've been going for
some time. So you've been out
we've
for
been
some
in and
time.
Out. No, I normally live in Ghana, so
Ghana,
but I stay in the state too. So we've been out, in and out, and then during the 2012 elections, we supported the party at the parliamentary level. That time we felt it wasn't the right time, and the 2016 we helped. But we realized 2020, the youth were like, hey, you know what, Nurin, you have the vision, you have the mission, you think about us, so we think you can do it. So they pushed me through that, and then this is where we are.
You've been making the attempt as the NDC in that constituency, and it's never worked for you. Why not back down? Just you just watch, allow the current MP for the area run some more. When he says, well, I'm not going anymore, then you take over as a party.
I don't believe in that. I believe in democracy. As I said, we lost the seat way back in 2000. So as we speak now, the people are saying, as we said earlier on, I think I have to correct that statement. They are discerning people. They don't actually. It's not like they are MPP people. But it's just because they have some belief in some individuals, and then
so it will not be fair to describe their Assin Central people as
because that was the seat we lost. That was the seat the NDC lost. So that was the seat ever occupied way back from 1992 to 2000. That's when we lost the seat, and now the MPP are like occupying that seat. So they are discerning people, and they are people who look at issues and stuff like that. We lost the 2020 election based on one or two things, and then we've come back to correct that mistakes. We just had 2 months to campaign, but even with that, we're able to close the vote margin, and then and then as we speak now, we're ever ready to win the seat.
Are you coming up against some more people? Because the Assin Central doesn't seem to be a lucrative area for someone who's in the NDC. You'd want to put your money elsewhere, running elsewhere in other constituencies that are considered quote and unquote safe. Are you not worried about that?
No, I've never been worried. I think about my people, And, my people, they also believe in me. And, as I said, we started from somewhere. And that's what brought us where we are today. Right. As I said, we've not been in power. We are still constructing a chip compounds around communities in the constituency, which our handwriting is everywhere, as I said. Right. And when you go there, you can testify. And also, we're trying to, eradicate unemployment in the constituency by also getting in touch with people who can, help us create more employment in the constituency. That's our vision. Our vision is to come to help the youth and also develop the constituency.
So what's the next step for your campaign? What message are you spreading across, sending to all delegates and grassroots members of the NDC?
Well, I think since we lost a seat way back in 2000, this is the first time the NDC in Asin Central have gotten one candidate going unopposed. Oh. So that should tell you where we're coming from. That should tell you the belief and the trust the people of Asin Central have in me. Right. And, as I said, I'm not going to be here to, to just give fake promise and stuff like that. Our handwriting is always on each one in the community.
What you say that, well, the experts are saying you have a better chance now because Kennedy Agyapong is now running for president.
Well, that's what they think. Going, like as I said, way back in 2000, we just have 2 months to campaign because we had some internal political wrangling in our constituency. So even with that,
the fact that he's now going for president, so it's now a safe
and as I said,
contest for you.
There were a lot of things that happened, and then I don't want to speak down air now, but we've put in our things in place. Right. Even 2020, we were so close, to recapturing back our seats. Right. And I'm assuring you, God willing, 2024,
if Kennedy Agyapong makes the U-turn and he says, well, I think I'm not running again. I want to just serve my people at the constituency level. Will you go out of the race?
But even when he was as I said, I contested him 2000.
In 2000, right.
2020, sorry. I contested him way back in 2020. So even that time, when, they were in power, his government was in power, and even with that, everything they had, we never had that chances and stuff like that. So if I'm able to contest him way back in 2020, and then if he's coming back in 2024, as I said, we've laid our boots and we're ever ready. Whoever the MPP brings in, or any political party bring in, we're going to win.
And your target is, you're winning by which margin?
As we speak, I'm going to be, as we've done our calculations, stuff like that, we're going to at least not less than 30,000 votes for both presidential and parliamentary.
Interesting. And we'll be watching that. We'll see how that will go. You have any message for those who are watching us now, particularly those who are within your constituency?
Well, what I would say is closely, I would think Asin Central, the whole constituency, the youth, the chiefs, the religious leaders, Central Region as a whole, please, what we would say is this is the time. Right. David Ba is in. Noreen Mijimashaibu is in to capture.
Oh, you are known as David.
David Ba, yeah,
David
because of the battle we had way back in 2020.
Wow.
So it was
so it's against David going against Goliath.
That was,
now your Goliath is no more there.
No more, but still we still have the name.
So it's a cool time for David to become the king.
This time we're going to win.
Well,
nothing can stop it.
We can just wait and see what the Ghanaian people will decide. But that makes it a smooth sailing for you. At least the primaries. Will there still be primaries within your constituency?
No, we're not going to have.
Okay, so because you're going unopposed, right. So we wish you. I don't want to say we wish you the best, but we'll see what happens, and then we'll be here to break the news when it happens.
Thank you very much,
and I'll be waiting for that.
Thank you very much, and I would like to say today is the first day of Ramadan.
Right.
I wish all my Muslim brothers and everyone's everywhere happy Ramadan, and also I would say, this is the time that we all have to pray. All Muslims should pray together, so at least we can let Ghana grow better.
Okay, then. We'll see you again.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
nice
for joining us.
Thank you.
And please stay with us. We'll be back after this break. And you're welcome back. I promise we'll take you to Parliament shortly, but not after just one more time. We need to stay on the NDC because there's a lot happening. You know him as Baba Sadiq, of course, doing all he can to improve the entertainment industry. But he says he's passionate about the people of Okaigwe Central. And that's why he's running for MP. Right. Baba Sadiq is joining us. And Sadiq, congratulations for filing, actually.
Thank you very much.
For how long have you harbored this intention?
Well, it's been in the works for some time. I was born and raised in the constituency. I was born in Fadama. I grew up, I attended school in Vabeka. And so at the point when I became quite prominent in the industry, I've always been giving back and doing things for the community.
So you see this as giving back?
Well, I mean, this time around, the idea is to leverage the political platforms to deliver even a bigger impact than I was delivering already to the constituents. There's a lot more things that the constituents still need or require. And I think that I am better placed to deliver it now more than ever.
Yeah, and the message is beaming on top of your head, the new hope. That's how you're terming your campaign. Why the new hope, by the way?
Well, the new hope of Okaigwe Central represents the aspirations and expectations of the constituency. It represents a refreshingly different leadership that's inclusive, a refreshingly different leadership that factors in the needs of the people, and someone that's looking to go the extra mile in delivering value and impact to the constituency.
Well, let's talk about this new trend about you in the creatives now coming to the fore, making the bold statement to go into political office. What's accounting for that? Because we've seen the likes of John Dumelo, of course, the others joining him there in the Ayawaso area, and you also coming on board. What's really moving and driving? You may not be the others, but there's something definitely happening within the creatives, a reason for which you want to see some of your colleagues in political office.
Well, politics and creative industry had always been bedfellows. I mean, if we go back to the essence of our statehood from the beginnings, you know, our flag, our state coat of arms, our national anthem, these were still done by people from the creative industry. And in a long time, where elections has been held in every country, from the advertising, the marketing, the messaging, and everything, it's always been a product of the creative industry. So there's always been a connection. But this time more than ever, I think that you're seeing a lot more prominent individuals from industry take a step, for leadership, also because of what we are known for, primarily. A number of us have shown the competence, a number of us have been able to, create a very good credibility for ourselves. So essentially what we are trying to do for our communities and where we come from is extend the same positive excellence we are known for in an industry to politics. And of course, why not? It's largely been monopolized by lawyers, doctors, accountants.
Yeah.
So I can understand with the new emergence of creative excellence, these things will come also because there's a need to have that thought leadership that we've always enabled industry with taking into politics as well. So, we can also continue to drive impact, not only for our constituents, but for one of the industries that offers so much to the country. Yeah. Currently, the president talks about the fact that the tourism culture industries is the third biggest contributor to the GDP. There's an expectation that by 2025 we should deliver $5 billion to the states, for instance. And if we consider the fact that we're looking for $3 billion from the IMF to be able to shore up and clean up some of the challenges.
Creative Arts could have solved that problem.
You understand that this is one industry that could solve that and also provide a lot of employment to a lot of people. And so I think that we are seeing that now more than ever because of the emergence and the power of the creative industry.
But it's just quite unfortunate that you don't have the best of examples around. The last time the likes of Obo, John Dumelo tried all of this, they didn't get the needed support to make it to Parliament. Are you discouraged by what's happened to the others, those who've gone before you?
No, in fact, we've had some very good examples. Right. Fritz Balfour came from the industry to Parliament. Honorable Jifa Gomashi came from the industry.
She's there, as we speak.
And so these are some very great examples as well for some of us. And thankfully, they're coming from the NDC that appreciates people from the creative industry.
So that favors your story.
So that favors my story. Yeah. But for me, I'm really, really hopeful. Also owing to the fact that Baba Sadiq, as an individual, as a reputed professionally somebody that resonates with the 4 voting blocks in my constituency. And so I'm very confident in having the surety that, once we run a more effective campaign this time around, once we were able to elevate the game this time around, the NDC would come out victorious in the 2024 election.
Are you on the ground and are you well known within the structures of the NDC?
Yes. I'm well known. In 2020, I was a spokesperson for the party in the tourism, arts and culture segment. You know how we run our campaign in the 2020. And so, obviously for anybody, you wouldn't have attained that if you're not well known and also had the competence. So within the party, I'm well known. I've been a member of my party for some time. I was born and raised in the constituency. I've been voting from 2004 from 2004 till now. That's where I voted. So I'm largely known. Every year there are a number of activities and activations I undertake in the constituency. In Fadama, for instance, which is the ward of Bemomo where I come from, I've in the last 13 years been organizing the Sela Cultural Festival for the community. I've been organizing health events in the community. Last year I did the Abeka Homoho social culture, also because these events are also economic systems in a way, because one single event, divided, however big it is, the traders and everybody around, they'll tell you that when these events occur or happen, they experience more than 100% of their daily sales. So they are, economic systems in a way, which we do to also drive social cohesion of the society. I've also been involved in running training programs for constituents to ensure that they're able to learn skills that would enable sustainable livelihoods for themselves. So,
what's that big message you're sending and selling to the delegates, and not just to delegates, but even members of your constituency?
Well, the big message is anchored in the headline, which is the new hope of Akwa Central, which I indicated that represents a whole new paradigm shift and innovative and refreshingly different leadership. But most importantly, there are 5 strands that I'm looking to heavily weigh on across sustainable livelihoods. There are a lot of people that are still employed or are engaged in one thing or the other, but not gainfully employed. And so one of the things I'm looking to do for the over 70% young population of the constituency is to be able to ensure that they are able to have sustainable livelihoods for themselves, either through the trainings, either through grants, and a number of things that I'm looking to do in the constituency. Again, a big constituency such as Okakwe Central, for more than 12 years since we were carved out of the bigger Okakwe North constituency, still can't boast of a modern hospital. Drives the health needs of the people. These and more other ideas I have related to social infrastructure are things that I intend to pursue that will bring relief to the people. And so, these are tops some of the ideas and some of the plans I'm looking to pursue. But most importantly, I'm looking to bank on my years on experience, insight, skills, and my drive for positive excellence to bring it to the constituents, go the extra mile to ensure that we're able to deliver the much needed relief for the people.
Are you confident that you're winning?
Yeah, anybody that knows me knows that I've always been very confident, even when I'm coming against formidable candidates. Of course, I know a lot of people that said, the NP has won the elections in the last three election cycles. And I told them that perhaps you have to take the time to understand the mindset of Baba Sadiq. The mindset of Baba Sadiq is somebody that takes on formidable candidates, runs a more disruptive campaigns, runs a more effective campaigns. Can turn around anything at all, and obviously if you look at the voter deficit as related to the presidential results of the constituency, it signals one thing, that the Okakwe Central seat is flippable, and it's very possible that it can become one of the safest seats of the NDC. But it will require a lot of work, it will require a lot of hard effort, it will require a lot of investment, but most importantly, it will start with having the right candidate with the right mindset, and that person is Baba Sadiq.
So what happens to the Baba Sadiq of 3 Music, of the creatives, and pushing the agenda for the entertainment industry to grow? What's going to happen to that once you're of course, going full-time now into the politics and trying to be a member of parliament?
Well, my investment in the industry is still growing stronger and gaining strength and continue to provide that much needed support to industry. 3 Music is still existing. 3 Music Awards, Waterland will still appear. Waterland has actually even been carved off into a foundation, which is the Waterland Foundation, which will leverage the arts to drive conversations in and around climate change and sustainability, for instance. And I've always been I'm maintaining my thought leadership positions on some of the key media platforms. And of course, politics affords us the opportunity to now more than ever bring that conversation up. You know, I think that just as people from varied professions and industries are needed in politics, it's also important that people like myself that have worked to the highest level in our industry are also able to sit at the table so we can influence and direct some of the things that would enable industry for us. It's still very important that we have a table, or we have a seat at the decision-making table. Like I indicated, this is I come from one of the powerful industries. The media industry, which Multimedia Journeys is part of it, it's all part of the industry. The architecture industry is all part of it. That the heavy advertising, marketing, and its allied marketing industries are all part of the creative economy or creative mix. And so this is a very, very powerful industry that has the opportunity to employ a lot more young people and women. Most importantly, it's one of the industries that could deliver a lot of value for the country. You know, and so for me, having a proper understanding of it, it's not going to end. I'm still passionate about the creative industry, and it's going to reflect even when I attain leadership.
Of course, many of us were laughing off the publicity stunts by Adam when he put out that flyer indicating that he was running for MP and then flipped it over to the NPP side. But he's beginning to complain about how he's lost some followers simply by declaring his political stance. Have you lost some friends? And are you not worried that, well, given the nature, the brand, the kind of personality you've built for yourself over the time, over the period, you may lose that simply because, well, I want to become a member of parliament?
No, in my case, I haven't had that experience. Right. I haven't lost a lot more people. I think that for me, I'm actually even gaining more and gaining that strong social.
You still keep your friends from across the aisle?
Across the aisle, I've had a lot of friends. In fact, one of the biggest headaches I know for the MPP in the constituency will be the fact that my personality, my approach to things is the type that could still attract minds and people from the other side, you know. And so for me, I think it's also largely owing to the approach and the ways you go.
Yeah, but you get the message that the fact that our politics is very divisive.
Well,
and the fear is that you may, of course, lose that.
But I think it's a mindset thing. I mean, my politics didn't start today. When I was still very active, running Three Music Awards, I was the spokesperson of the party in the 2020 campaign. Right. It didn't affect what we're doing. I think it's a mindset. For me, I've always held the belief that we always consistently need to elevate the game. You always have to target and do it well. When you're doing your things well, it doesn't matter. It's a mindset. My mindset is that if I was a musician, for instance, I was going to ensure that I drop the most resonating music and around the most effective marketing campaigns around it that would reach out to everybody, because you hit them and nothing whatsoever will stop it. And that's a mindset that I've always had. So regardless of the fact that I was running Three Music and was very active and I was also doing politics, you realize I kept on growing stronger with all the brands and all the activities that we're doing, because the mindset was that I'm simply unstoppable. That's the mindset.
That's what you're bringing on board for the
and being unstoppable starts from the mindset. And that's why I say that in my constituency, for the NDC, for us to succeed, to win the seat or reclaim the seat after more than 20 years of not having lost it to the MPP, it requires an entirely new mindset. It requires a candidate that understands the assignment. It requires a candidate that understands the voter dynamics of the constituency, understand the numbers, polling station by polling station, ward by ward. A candidate that also understands the formidable ability, for want of a better word, of the possible candidates that may emerge even from the MP. Because of course, even though they are the current sitting MPs and MPP, it's not automatic. And so all these recognitions, all these factors are things that I'm factoring, or I factored in before making the decision. And for me, I think that once I get the nod from the primaries, I would really elevate the game and ensure that we take the seat back.
You have a target in mind, percentage-wise?
I mean, it's early days here to look at the main elections itself, knowing very well that the primaries is the most immediate thing for me.
That's the first thing to run.
To scale up. And so, but for me, for the primaries, I think that, I mean, in terms of what I'm aiming for about 1,233 delegates. I think that I should be able to aim for about 800.
Okay then, Baba, we need to go. You have any final words for the delegates? Of course, most of them are around this area, so I'm sure that they are watching us. What would you like to send across?
Well, I mean, the New Hope of Okakwe Central is coming, but most importantly for my Muslim delegates, I would want to wish them a happy Ramadan. Today marks the beginning of Ramadan. Hopefully, during this month, we are going to seek God's guidance, God's protection, God's blessings, and most importantly, pray to God for the much-needed victory we've always been working for in the last few years.
Okay, he calls it the New Hope, Baba Sadiq, and
It's actually the New Hope for Okakwe Central.
Yeah, the New Hope for Okakwe Central. We'll be on the lookout for that. Yes, thank you for joining us. And of course, we can now cross you over to Parliament because there's a lot of tension there over the approval of the ministerial nominees. Kweku Asante is our parliamentary correspondent joining us now. Kweku, what can you report? Earlier, we saw some heated debates from across the aisle, but is it getting better now?
It isn't getting better now. Indeed, the House decided to take a break for an hour because some negotiation had to go through, some horse trading had to be done, but the House has not returned. The expectation was that they would have returned around 3:30. It's 4:24 now. Parliament is still not back in session, and in the chamber right now, both members on the minority and the majority side are having what is called a joint caucus to try and reach some agreements. Indeed, the two key business that we expected Parliament to transact to be having to do with some key revenue measures was on the floor, and they have not started doing that yet. They had started work first on the ministerial nominees. You know that in January, President Akufo-Addo appointed some members to his government, Pete Yamont, Inshiasu MP, among others, and Parliament vetted them. The minority were opposed to this appointment because, according to them, government side was so bloated, they did not want these members to be approved. And so at the nominees, which meant that when this vote comes to the floor, it will be done by secret. And so the report had been moved, it had been seconded, and it was being debated first by Honorable Alexander Pamina Fejomakin, who argued that a few things in terms of the Constitution did not go against these nominees, for which reason they must be approved. And what's going on until the whips on both sides then agreed and called on the Speaker of Parliament to suspend sitting for an hour for the leaders and the whole membership to continue jojoing in the background at the Committee of the Whole and come to some sort of agreement. It was clear on the floor that the government side, the majority side, they don't have the numbers. They need at least 138. If they have all their 138, they will be able to get these two key business, the taxes and President Akufo-Addo's communities over the line. But the numbers simply was not there. We saw the majority leader walk out. He called his colleague on the minority side, Ato Forsen. They went out, met for about 15 minutes, came in, and then announced that they go and negotiate and continue talking, and then come back and continue business. So it's been more than an hour, close to 2 hours.
Yeah, but the Speaker's directive. But Kweku, the Speaker's directive was for an hour for that negotiation to take place. So why is it taking longer?
Well, it clearly shows that both sides do not have an agreement yet, and that 1 hour extending to 2 hours to 10 to 3 hours. In the next 3 minutes, it will be 2 hours since the Speaker suspended the House, and they will still not be back, clearly telling you that there's no agreement. Our view and our understanding is that the minority, having taken a hardline stance on the Electoral Commission CI, want government to make some major concessions on the decision to remove the guarantor system and make the Ghana card the sole identity document. They also want some tweakings to the tax bills that are currently before the House before they will approve President Akufo-Addo's nominees and before they will approve. MPs have been locked in the chamber. The press gallery has been cleared. It's only the MPs who are in there who are trying to talk to come to some sort of agreement before they will come back to the chamber.
And earlier we've seen, of course, the presence of the national chairperson of the NDC. What's Johnson Asiedu Nketia doing in Parliament?
Indeed, both leaders on both sides are here. First, the General Secretary of the New Patriotic Party, Justin Frimpong Kodua, actually came in a bit earlier, even before Parliament started sitting. He was in the House sitting right behind his caucus and offering them moral support on this very key business that is make or break. Without these three key revenue measures, it will be very difficult for government to get this IMF deal because government must be able to show that they can raise revenue locally. So that is that. And also, one sitting started about 20 minutes in, we saw the national chairman of the NDC, Johnson Esedi, also working, coming to sit over the other side to try and oversee what their members were doing. This is not the first time both leaders on both sides are coming into parliament when such key business have been transacted. The last time the censure motion was happening, Justin Kempo-Kodia was in the House. Early on, they had signed a statement asking the MPs to walk out. He was there to ensure that that was done, and indeed it was done. The last time MPs elected the Speaker of Parliament back then, Johnson Esedi was also in Parliament to ensure that their decision to elect back then was also carried through. So today he is here, and our understanding is that he's expected to look at what their members will do. And we know that just 2 weeks or so ago, they released a statement asking all their MPs to attend sittings every single day because of some of these key business.
Right.
And so he's been here for that purpose.
And the point is that we're likely to have a very long night, knowing that even the revenue measures are not up for discussion yet. What's the head-on now? It's even got to do with the approval of the nominees.
Can you come again?
Yes, and I'm talking about the fact that we're likely to see a very long night, the fact that even the revenue measures are not up for discussion yet. What we're dealing with now is just the approval of the nominees, correct?
Indeed, that is what the Parliament is dealing with first now. And our expectation is that if these negotiations, which is currently happening behind closed doors, goes as planned, then things will move quite faster. Things will move quite effectively and much faster, because then both sides would have agreed on the key issues, the bills, and the amendments and everything would have been done. They'll just come to the floor and just take them through. If this does not go as planned, the negotiation does not go as planned, and the MPs come at the floor, then it's going to take a long time, because the appointment committee's report will be debated. Members will report one after the other to vote secretly in that booth before they move again to the financial bills. This could drag long into the night, and it's already 4:30. MPs would have to prepare and brace themselves to sit for long hours. And that is why this negotiation that is currently happening behind closed doors execution.
Any word from, the NPP, the NDC leadership, the party executives who are around? Any word from them so far?
So far, we haven't heard anything from them, because they are stuck there in the chamber trying to negotiate these key businesses. We've been trying to reach out via other channels of communications. We haven't gotten anything yet, because both leaders are keeping their cards close to their chest. They want to go into these negotiations in good faith, as they've said, be able to negotiate jaw, and then when they come back to the floor, they're able to get some concessions on both sides, then they can make headway. But so far, leadership on both sides are very tight-lipped about the situation, not giving any way at all.
And Kweku, so tell us about the day that Parliament rises. This will be the last. Is that it?
Well, so Parliament is expected to go on break next week.
Okay.
And so the expectation is that government side wants to be able to get some of these businesses through. Today is Thursday. If they're unable to do so, it leaves them tomorrow, and then a few days next week to be able to do so before they go for Easter break. And that is why government side wants to be able to get those things through before they come. Some of these ministries, agri ministry, trade and industry, have been without substantive ministers for a while, and these are key. The revenue measures are also key. Government plans to get this IMF bill by the end of March. Clearly, they are not going to get that. And if Parliament is to go on break, the expectation is that they'll be back maybe early May. And if these businesses are all not through by early May, then it becomes quite difficult for government to be able to move forward within this tight economic schedule. And that is why government side wants to be able to do so before Parliament heads for Easter break and return in.
Okay, then. We'll leave it here for now. Kweku Asante, our parliamentary correspondent, and as in when we have the feed coming through of Parliament resuming, we'll definitely get you some updates. But let's take you to the Wager community. Residents there and those who use the Accra Cape Coast Highway complaining about the lack of seeming action on the part of authorities to deal with perennial flooding on a portion of that network. There's more in this report.
Heavy rains on the 23rd May last year rendered about a kilometer of the Kasoa-Accra road completely unmotorable. 2 articulated trucks were stuck in the silt dumped on the road. A driver of one of the trucks, Issa Halidu, said he was forced to spend the night in his car.
We tried to move, we couldn't. Move. That is why all the tanks and the tires, everything is sinking. So we don't know how to do unless they help us. They come to our aid. Otherwise, we don't know what to do. Because I even get some shovel. You see what we are doing. We tried, but
it's just some minutes after slight rainfall here in the Weija municipality. What you can see is rainwater gushing down from upstream from the hills here at Weija. It washes down silt onto the main road, reducing a 3-lane stretch to 1, sometimes 2. Many motorists are complaining about the situation. They want authorities to fix the perennial problem.
It rained for only 15 minutes on Wednesday, but some parts of the road is already flooded with a massive gridlock. I've met a resident, Kingsford Kojufusu. He's very angry about the situation.
Very bad. Very bad. And we are facing a lot of problems. Traffic. The traffic may see from is a crowd you guys for say sound give you make them know say we dey suffer for this road top. We dey suffer. Some block factory 2 days here. Anytime it go rain, then to them go drop them water. Now if I can so bro, we dey suffer. We dey suffer for the year. It be bad. Every rainfall, even small drop, this road go full. I don't know. This road be government road. Cast you. If the government road, where government knows say this road here, government people they pass here, then they use the road. You know good.
Visibly angry motorists who couldn't step out of their cars to speak to us had something to say to city authorities. Anytime it rains, it gets flooded here. Please get them to fix it for us. A man seated in a commercial vehicle blurted out as the car moved through the flood water on the road. Emmanuel Fori is a taxi driver. He says anytime it rains, drivers are compelled to spend productive hours in traffic on the Weija-Atala stretch. He wants city authorities to fix the challenge.
It causes traffic. Whenever it rains excessively, all the highland and the lowland at the top, it pushes the soil, so it causes soil erosion. So it makes our work so difficult. I want them to drill a hole, like a gutter, so that the water can flow. To me, it delay my work. Whenever there's excessive traffic, the fuel is always consumed. So it makes our work difficult.
It's not only motorists who are affected by the flooded road. Some businesses here have lost thousands of Ghana cedis as a result of the situation. Nanama Boy is the manager at the Weija branch of Atala Limited.
It has destroyed some of our tile cement, our main cement, our slate, and a lot of our books sometimes when we're at the downstairs. So it has really destroyed our things. So I want the authorities to come and ask about how the situation will be solved, because I see that this issue is not about a one-person issue. It's a very tough, and I learned it's coming from the top. It rains today that it rains here. It's just a little rain. It's like drizzling, not really rains, but it was, all this place was flooded.
A resident, Martin Luther King Agbeve, says a permanent solution is needed since the problem has become perennial.
Big gutter here, this is the big gutter, connected to the West Mall here. Then descend to the main entrance, to the traffic lights. And then when it rains like this, the flood is very huge. We talked to the authorities. They said they will do something about it. We are waiting for them so many years. NDC come, nothing. MPP come, nothing. So people are dying. It costs traffic a lot. A lot. People are able to go to work and the time also to, yeah, it's going. So the road too is spoiling the road, the erosion. So they have to do something.
Until city authorities fix the perennial flooding on the Atala section of the road at Weija, more productive hours will be lost to the congestion that is created anytime it rains. The road is already showing signs of deterioration as a result of the flooding. Maxwell Agbagba for Joy News.
And that's all we have for you in this package of the polls. I'm Blessed Soga. Log into myjoyonline.com where I have updates for you. See you again. Bye-bye.